We are here, bald, bearded, and bold. We are back for another episode with bald people, bearded people, bold people. I'm looking at Tony Sparks across from me right now, and he's been breaking shit. And he broke the mic. He broke my table last week. And Tony will soon be ejected from the podcast if he keeps breaking shit. So just wanted to throw that little tidbit in there. You know, we have called him a slapdick on many occasions, and we will call him one again. So we're back. We are here again with our honored guest, Jason Salyards. He is the preeminent shooting instructor on the East Coast. If anybody says different, we don't really give a fuck. We think Jason's the best. He's here at GUNTRY in Wheeling, West Virginia. He came from the GUNTRY in Maryland.
That's correct. Yep.
He trains and has trained, and I'm going to let him talk about himself. But this guy has trained the elite of the elite and is here to train you at GUNTRY in Wheeling if you so choose. So welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
He was just working with me on my dumb ass on the range and got me doing some things that were correct in a very short period of time. So if he can get my thick skull to do things, I'm sure he can help you as well. But Jace, give us a little bit of your background, how you kind of got it. You were telling me some stuff about your dad when we were in the range. But tell us how you got into this, how you got to GUNTRY.
I mean, I started shooting when I was 10, maybe.
Yeah.
And we started on a handgun, and so I'm a handgun instructor. I mean, I brought in guys to do the rifle and the shotgun stuff and all that kind of thing. But handgun really sort of my wheelhouse. But yeah, I've been an instructor for over 20 years. I started at the GUNTRY in Maryland right before they opened. So that was the end of January 2020.
Okay.
And kind of worked my way up to being the head instructor, the range operations manager there.
Sure.
So when I found out they were coming here, I was like, hey, I'd like to move to America for the first time. So
I like it.
I lived in Maryland for a long time.
Sure.
You know, I was in the military, bounced around a little bit before that. But
What branch were you in?
I was in the Air Force.
Oh, great. Thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, joined the Air Force right before September 11th. I did that for about 8 years. And then when I got out, I kind of bounced back and forth a little bit, but settled on being an instructor for firearms.
Sure.
And I've been doing that ever since. So I worked at a couple of different indoor ranges. Once I got in with GUNTRY, then it was just like, here we go, right? So, yeah, a lot of the agencies and stuff that we trained in Maryland, federal air marshals, border patrol, Maryland State Police, Baltimore County Police. So an awful lot of agencies.
Sure.
But I tend to take a little bit more pride in what we do for regular citizens.
Yes.
Because I've taught at least 20,000 people how to shoot.
That's amazing.
I mean, carry permit works a little bit different in Maryland, so I've done about 8,000 carry permit.
Okay.
Students, and we're just trying to continue what we laid down.
Educate the public on how to properly use a firearm, and I think in today's society, we talk about this a lot on the podcast. The world has changed so much, and I think gun people get a really bad rap. I think sometimes, most gun people are very family oriented, very, they're not gun nuts. They're not, I am one that, I own firearms, but I am also a person that believes that the right people should have firearms and they should be well trained in how to use them. Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you do here.
Well, so it kind of is the difference, I think, between goals and standards. So,
great point.
I mean, law enforcement officer, whether he's a patrol guy or whether he's at the top of the chain,
sure,
he's got standards he's got to meet.
Yes.
And we don't want to encroach on anybody's freedom.
Right.
Right. But standards for citizens have to be sort of self-motivated.
Agreed.
Right? Hey, can I do this stuff safely? Can I do it effectively if I need to, defend myself?
Right.
That sort of stuff. And then goals, I think, go a little bit beyond that. You know, as we were shooting earlier, I mean, I'm trying to get under a 2-second bill drill.
Right.
You know, which is 6 shots on the draw at 7 yards. Right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of practice to get to that point.
A lot of rounds fired, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the best shooters on earth shoot a ton.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's born with a gun in their hand.
No.
Right. So it's something you have to work. You've got to work at it, possibly for years. Do you need to be able to shoot a 2-second bill drill to defend yourself if you carry a gun around?
Right.
Probably not.
But it's a good goal.
Does it hurt your chances?
No.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I talk about any type of knowledge is good. And
Sure.
if you can add
absolutely.
something to your repertoire and put something in, it's never a bad thing to add a skill or
And I mean, again, I've met 40,000, you know, people in the firearms community. It's a community, you know.
Right.
So they know how to behave. And especially when they've got sort of those standards that kind of,
yes,
you know, form a bottom floor or a foundation for everything. Yeah, absolutely.
It's nice to see, you know, we just had Jason Ryan on the previous podcast, and he's the general manager, works with you up here, and you know, it's such a family atmosphere here. You can, as soon as you walk in the door, with the restaurant being there and everybody's so welcoming, and like I was talking about going on the range, you guys are all so easy to talk to, and you know, you're very, you immediately you looked at how I was holding, they adjust this, adjust that,
sure.
make sure that you're doing this, it'll be easier for you, and it was it's a great learning environment. So
yeah, we want it to also be sort of a community hangout spot,
right?
You know, having shot at probably 100 different indoor ranges over the course of, you know, how long I've been shooting, you instantly get a vibe.
Yes,
when you walk into a place, you know, some places are welcoming, and that's what we want. That's kind of how we want to present ourselves. Some places are just kind of dingy, and you know, it seems like sort of a club, and maybe you're not invited, you know?
Yeah.
So we wanted to be very welcoming and inviting, you know, for anybody who wants to come train. If you just want to spend the day having fun, you know, shooting is fun.
It is.
It's just more fun the better you are at it.
Well, and I said that when, you know, I was like, I could stand here and do this all day without even thinking twice. And with everything here, you could do that. You can walk in, shoot, have a really good lunch or dinner, you know. The founder's room, as you can see here on the video, this place is, Jason and I were just talking, it's the best man cave in the world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Sweet back
you
there.
got the golf simulator coming, you can hit some balls on that. You can do, I mean, you got the archery range. Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing facility. But yeah, and I the thing that I think, the point that I want to get across, and I know Jason was on just people need to come see it and understand. You know, you can walk in without a gun and go shoot and do all the things that you want to do.
I mean, that's what I think. A facility like this, if you don't offer gun rentals, you're missing out.
Yes.
You know, so we want to stock probably between 40 and 50, you know, handgun rentals, and some rifles and shotguns and that sort of stuff too.
Sure.
But, you know, primarily it's again, haven't done this for a long, long time. It sucks not being able to shoot a gun before you buy one.
Yes.
You know, so if you're really looking for something for you, you got to try at least a couple of different guns out.
Everybody feels different with whatever firearm they're using.
So many of them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? They're all trying to fit a certain, you know, person,
right,
you know, to that gun. Well, you have to personally try it out, you know, and it may be a couple different ones, you know, to find something that you really like.
Get your feel.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the gun that I carry wouldn't be the best gun for a whole lot of other people.
Right.
You know, but you have to kind of find that out for yourself. You can't.
Right. Just like hitting a golf club.
Oh,
I
sure.
mean, you got to hit
absolutely.
clubs. You got to figure out what you're going to play with and what's comfortable for you. And every club's different for. Yeah, I mean, I've been through a lot of drivers in my life because, you know, but a good carpenter never blames his tools. But of course, I always do. It's the driver's fault.
Act there, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I always say
we don't care. We don't care what it says on the side, right?
No,
Shoot, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, it's you know, it's the balance between, you know, your own skill level versus your personal preference on that kind of stuff. And the more skills you have, the more preference you're probably going to develop. And that really helps you find a really good gun for you.
And like you said, the better you are at anything, the more fun it is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to take a quick break and come back, talk a little bit more about like what kind of options for classes and instruction are available up here at GUNTRY in West Virginia with Jason Salyards, and just talk a little bit about how we can, you could bring the family in, and you could all as a family learn how to operate safely, use a firearm, and have a great time while you're doing that. But this is Bald, Bearded, and Bold. We'll be right back.
Welcome to GUNTRY, West Virginia's 48,000 square foot facility with 22 indoor lanes, including 4 100-yard lanes, a world-class shooting range and training center that has the comforts and amenities of a country club. Whether you're a first-time shooter or a seasoned pro, it's the perfect place to host a corporate event, plan a family outing, train with a buddy, or level up with expert-led classes. Experience GUNTRY now open in Wheeling, West Virginia.
We are back here on Bald, Bearded, and Bold. We are at GUNTRY, Wheeling, West Virginia, High County at the Highlands, and we are with Jason Salyards, one of the premier shooting instructors in the United States. And Jason, thanks for being with us again.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Want to talk a little bit about just, you mentioned earlier in the first segment, kind of about who you've instructed and things like that. Who are some of the groups that you've enjoyed working with the most, and what have you done with them that people would recognize and things like that?
Out of personal preference, I mean, I like working with smaller agencies because they know each other already.
Sure.
And they tend to work together, really well.
A little more
right off the bat,
camaraderie and things like that. Yeah.
It's, if you hit the ground running really well with a smaller group of guys,
sure,
you can really take them a little bit further.
Right.
So we would have units from Fort Meade in Maryland would send us guys every once in a while. So that's on a little bit more on the military end. On the law enforcement end, Border Patrol, they tend to keep their guys together.
Yep.
Pentagon Internal Force Protection.
So
they've got their own sort of police
force. Yes. Okay.
Police agency down there. They tend to work together really well.
Did you work with Capitol Police at all?
Capitol Police, they would come up on individual basis.
Oh, okay.
To kind of
great.
To kind of work on some of their skills and that sort of thing. But
yeah.
As far as their qualities, DC's a different animal.
I understand.
They've got a lot of weird sort of regulations and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of their training internally.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to kind of go through with your background, you've worked obviously with a lot of these people, but you mentioned to me off the thing here that you really enjoy working with the individuals.
Oh, absolutely.
A little more. Yeah. And just this to grow. Let's talk a little bit about like what the classes are that you have here and how you could work your way through, through pistol, through rifle, those different things.
Well, yeah, I mean, we wanted to put it under an umbrella, and we call it GUNTRY Academy. So I came up with this idea a few years ago where you sort of get a special reward for taking a certain number of hours worth of class.
Okay.
Right? So, we have 3 levels of pistol, semi-auto pistol class.
Sure.
3 levels of rifle class, and 3 levels of defensive pistol class.
Okay.
And, so here in West Virginia, if you take 25 hours of, required coursework, plus some elective hours that equal out to 30, that's 30 hours of good training that you're taking. And I mean, by the end of that, you essentially have a PhD in how to shoot, right?
Yep.
So, we've got some special patches and stuff like that.
Sure.
You get to
college
earn,
for shooting, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really what we wanted to kind of present it as. But I mean, those classes, you can start off as, I've never been in the same room as a gun before.
Sure.
And we will take you up to the point where you can't miss.
Right.
So again, as you kind of work your way up through those levels, I mean, semi-auto pistol 1, I'm actually doing one tonight. It really is that introductory level, course.
Here's how the gun works.
Here's how we load it.
Sure.
This is how we're safe with it, all that kind of stuff. On up through defensive pistol 3, I mean, defensive pistol 3, we're running around, we're throwing ourselves on the ground, we're, shooting from behind cover, those sorts of things. So it really is kind of it's a tiered class structure, but as you work your way through it, I mean, I've heard over and over again, I can't wait to take the next one. When's the next one? Because I really want to, kind of continue to work on this kind of stuff.
That's fantastic. And it's what I up here, what I find fascinating is, it puts everything together. I mean, you can come take a class, and you could do the whole family if you wanted to. Yeah, because I know you and I talked about, because I have an 8-year-old daughter. I can bring her up because kids have to be 8 to come and take lessons and take classes. But you could bring the whole family in, and you could all do it together, and then you could sit down and have a meal and enjoy the facility.
So that really is the setup. I mean, if I run an 8-hour class, I don't want you to have to leave, go get lunch somewhere, and then come back. Let's have lunch together.
Right.
And that way we can kind of build rapport that way.
Yes.
But each class kind of can live on its own.
Yes.
So if I've got a family involved or something like that, hey, we're going to, as we go through these drills, take a look at what, your spouse is up to.
Sure.
Or what your kids are up to and all that kind of stuff. And that, even from a tactical perspective, that gives you a little bit of an advantage.
And it's cool too. You're kind of competing against each other. Who's getting better? Absolutely. Who's hitting what? Naturally, it always makes it fun, especially for siblings that are, you get the kids out there shooting, and I'm better than you, and you're better than me, and it just promotes, a good atmosphere for everybody.
Healthy competition is probably the best, the best single thing to make a person better. So, we always recommend, hey, if you've got the foundational training, let's do some competition style shooting as well.
Sure.
Because we offer 2 different types of action shooting matches here.
Right.
We're doing our own sort of brand of, we call them GUNTRY action shooting. They're IDPA derived, action shooting competitions.
Okay.
And then we'll start to run PCSL. So they're sort of a newer organization. It's a little bit more USPSA-like, a little bit higher end on the competition sort of scale.
Sure.
But those are fantastic training opportunities, but they're also a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Running around shooting cardboard around cover, and using walls and that sort of stuff. And we're looking forward to kind of getting that off the ground.
It's a much higher end of a Hogan's Alley type thing. Yeah. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I shot IDPA and USPSA for many, many years. Had so much fun doing it. And I wanted to be able to offer that, especially around here. It can be a little bit harder to find. Just one of the places where I was stationed when I was in the military.
Right.
The Florida Panhandle. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a pistol match.
Right.
And the same thing when I was at Nellis. I mean, the high desert, there's nothing to do out
there. Right.
Shoot,
I mean, everybody wants to go
out in the desert and shoot.
Not a whole lot to do in the desert, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. I just, the one thing that I'd like to talk about when we come back from after another break is sort of what got you here. Why Wheeling? Why the GUNTRY here? What made you come from Maryland here?
Sure.
And, just what do you think of the Valley so far and the people you're working with? Kind of talk about that a little bit. Okay. We are here at Bald, Bearded, and Bold, and we'll be right back with Jason Salyards.
Every brand has a story. At Sparks Media Agency, we help you tell it. Authentically, visually, and with heart. Sparks Media Agency. Story-driven content that connects.
We are back here at Bald, Bearded, and Bold with Jason Salyards, head instructor here at the GUNTRY here in Wheeling, West Virginia, High County. And we're going over all the different things he's been through, trained some elite law enforcement guys around the country, and what he's doing here with the instructional classes. And he moved here from the Maryland GUNTRY.
Correct.
And just, we were talking a little bit off the air about, your move here and how how has it been for you? What made you want to move here from a larger metropolitan area to Wheeling, and how has it been since you've been here?
Oh, it's been great, and I mean, my whole family really enjoys the number one, the atmosphere, but I mean, you know, it really isn't all that different. You know, culturally, there's been a little bit of a shift, but not,
sure.
You know, nothing too out of control.
Okay.
Primarily, I mean, it sort of goes back to guns. I wanted to get out of Maryland because, you know, I mean, just layers and layers of red tape on basically anything sort of firearm related.
Right.
And it really did sort of feel like we moved to America for the first time in a long time.
I get it.
You know, when we moved out here.
Yep.
So, you know, from an instructional point of view, I mean, Maryland has some mandatory classes. You have to take a 4-hour class just to be able to buy a handgun in the state.
Okay.
Right? So there's a balancing act there because, I mean, those are 4 sort of billable hours and everybody has to go through it.
Sure.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a good class.
Right.
You know, when you look at your audience and half of them just are there because they have to be.
Right.
Those aren't the people you really want to teach.
No.
You want to teach people who are enthusiastic about it.
The fun level drops.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know? So it was called Handgun Qualification License. And so we ran that course fairly constantly. I mean, you know, probably about once a week. And, you know, again, it's a balancing act as far as that stuff goes. But to not have that sort of perched over the top of you,
sure,
you have just a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
To create something that somebody really wants to go to,
yeah,
and they know they're going to get a lot out of.
And you enjoy a lot more because
yeah,
you know they enjoy it, so it makes the teaching experience
a
lot better for you, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I mean, being here in Wheeling and you know, have you seen, you know, I know you guys have done real well with corporate memberships and things like that. Are you getting a good response on the individual basis to lessons so far?
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting some people coming in doing different things.
Well, you know, I think the culture, the firearm culture, runs deeper here.
Yes.
Compared to Maryland, there's no contest, right?
Right.
But I think it's sort of the difference between like formal training versus Grandpa took me in the backyard and we shot at cans on the fence.
Sure.
Again, I'm not disparaging that because that's at least you're shooting,
right?
You know, but
and people have had a gun in their hand before.
Oh yeah,
a lot more here than I guess would over there.
I mean, as far as our introductory level courses, everybody's starting from a level where at least they've been around this stuff before. But that just means to me that the ceiling can get higher.
Sure.
You know, I want to take people and make them the best shooters that they can possibly be. Yeah. So if you're starting on a third rung, you know what I mean?
It makes it a little easier. You're
going to get further up the ladder as you go, right?
Sure.
So
that's great.
Yeah. I mean, everybody that I've met and that I've taught here so far has been on a level that a lot of the folks in Maryland needed about 2 to 4 hours of formal training to get to. Yeah.
Probably a lot of people walking in the door over there, I would guess, that literally have never been around a gun, held a gun, done anything, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And so far, I mean, you know, what have you had any, we kind of talked about this off the air, so I don't even know why I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to anyway. Like any struggles with the move or anything like that?
Everyone has been so super welcoming here. I mean, you feel like everyone you talk to sort of rolls out a red carpet for you, and it's been really nice to help us kind of settle in. But
the Valley is a different. I say this a lot on my daily life and on the podcast is. It's a different place. I mean, people, this is a great place to live, great place to grow up. Mm-hmm. I mean, I grew up here and I'm still here because my kids love it. The schools are great. People are just very welcoming. It's a very, sports oriented, very competitive oriented area, and I just think that a place like this fits in so well. And people like yourself. Mm-hmm. I mean, you are the definition of what is good about what happened with this because somebody like you is now here. and living here.
I appreciate that.
We want to, well, yeah, I mean, we
Right.
want, you're the kind of folks we want to live in the Valley. You're the kind of people that we want to bring in here. And, hopefully this place, brings more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like-minded individuals that, understand that, having a handgun is a freedom that we enjoy that a lot of others don't. Right. Learn how to use it correctly, do it with your family, and enjoy a family atmosphere.
I mean, we're 100% about rights.
Yes.
They do have some responsibilities that kind of attach to them.
Sure.
But rather than let that be a drag, right?
Yeah.
I've tried to embrace them my
Sure.
entire life.
Yep.
And stay enthusiastic about it. Because again, I mean, a lot of our class structure is set up for self-defense.
Yes.
You have to do that right.
Yes.
Or you'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, again, it's a balancing act. Shooting is fun. There's no doubt about it, but it is a tool that you can use to help yourself, your family, your community, all that kind of thing. So the better you are at it, the better everybody, rising tide just kind of lifts all
boats.
Right?
Yeah, exactly right. And the other thing is, it's just, I think that, one thing that with gun ownership, we get that freedom here in the U.S., and it's great, that we have the ability to do that, but it does come with, it's a privilege with responsibilities. That we get to, but then you want to make sure that you do the things the right way and train yourself the right way so you don't injure someone else or yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I just think that this place really fits well here. And again, having folks like you and Jason and all the staff up here, it's great to see what's going on. You gotta, the one thing I'll say here, you gotta come see this place. You really have to come here to truly appreciate what it is.
Right. I mean, the facility, how the facility worked out, we took a look at it. If you stand out in the parking lot and you just kind of look at the building, we were like, we need a staff that's as good as this.
Yes.
So that was our sort of benchmark.
And you're training a lot of that staff.
Absolutely.
Because you've been in the GUNTRY system since they've opened, and you're you're getting them in that way. Yeah. So,
and I mean, the Maryland GUNTRY's been open for 5.5 years now. I would put our guys against theirs.
That's great.
Now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's only going to get better, I think.
For
sure. Everyone that opens will be different and new things and new developments and great. Yeah. Jason, thank you.
Oh, no problem.
For being on, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate the instruction today, and look forward to doing that going forward, and good luck with everything. I'm glad you're welcome to the Valley, and thanks for being here.
Oh yeah. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. We are done here with this podcast with Jason Salyards here at GUNTRY. I am always, as always, Jason Haswell here with Bald, Bearded, and Bold. We will be back with the next episode, and it's been great being here at GUNTRY to do this. And you got, do yourself a favor and come up here and see it and experience it, so that even if you're a little skeptical, walk through and see what you think, and come up and say, because you will be amazed. So thanks for being here, and we will talk to you soon. Again, Bald, Bearded, and Bold. Remember, do what Jesus would do. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.